KPBS On Demand is supported by AAA. AAA offers personalized customer service to help with switching auto insurance coverage, designed around a driver's specific needs, along with ways to bundle policies or insure multiple vehicles. Learn more at AAA.com.
Welcome in San Diego, it's Jade Hindman. So why are so many bathrooms in Mission Bay Park closed, and what would it take to reopen them? We'll talk about the story behind that. This is KPBS Midday Edition, connecting our communities through conversation. When you go to Mission Bay Park, you'll see lots of people jogging, walking their dogs, or kids using the playground. But one thing that's frustrated visitors lately is the lack of available bathrooms. Last month, the city closed nearly half the public restrooms in the park due to budget cuts. Joining me now to talk about the impact is Bradley Schnell. He's the founder of Mission Bay Park Conservancy. Brad, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Glad to have you here. So the city closed 13 out of 28 available restrooms in the park. That's been in effect since last July. What was your initial reaction to the closures?
Well, it just happened this July. I guess last July was, I can't believe we're in August already.
I know, we're here already.
It was sort of an anticipated closure that obviously in a very challenging budget year for the city. But it is having some very real impacts on the community as a whole.
And this happened due to budget cuts, according to the city. These closures are projected to save nearly $550,000. When did you first get wind that the restrooms could be closed?
Well, it first came out when the initial budget proposal came out. I think it was in February. And they were originally going to close I think something in the magnitude of 38 restrooms across the city. Thankfully, a lot of those were restored, but Mission Bay Park got the blunt end of closures, 13 of 28, actually.
What's been the impact on park visitors?
It's extremely challenging, especially right now in this moment of the summer where the park is at its busiest. It's hard to. I'm trying to articulate as we talk about the things that come from restrooms, if I can be polite on the radio.
Sure. Well, I mean, so people aren't able to get into those restrooms.
Yes, but I think from our standpoint in the organization, this is really just a symptom. And I think one of the things that is unique about Mission Bay Park, which I think is maybe not an excuse, is that 80 years ago when they envisioned this amazing jewel of San Diego, they didn't have the money to pay for all the operations and all the facilities. They actually had this vision to create leaseholds on the property that would actually generate revenue for the park specifically. The park generates nearly $40 million a year in revenue through these leaseholds, and the first 20 of it goes to the general fund. So the argument that there's not enough money to keep the park restrooms open is pretty thin.
Do you see this as an issue of accessibility?
Well, obviously it's an issue with accessibility. We have these. Our parks they're open to the public. They are a public asset. Mission Bay Park was actually granted by the state as a public trust for the city to manage, and part of that obligation is keeping it open and accessible to all.
What would your solution be?
Well, okay, so the Conservancy, we're motivated to really do our best to participate and help support the city in this issue. I do think that our elected officials need to seriously consider reopening them in full, but the Conservancy is aimed to have a special use permit with the city, like there are other special use permits in Balboa Park, and the La Jolla Coastal Conservancy in La Jolla has a special use permit where they can supplement and help the city keep things open.
I mean, because Brad, this is a huge public health concern, I would think.
It is.
Right? What's the discussion been like around that?
It is a public health concern, but I think from our standpoint, this is a much bigger issue. This is really a symptom of...
What's bigger than public health?
Well, I think it's how we want to look at our generational assets. Mission Bay Park is not something that can be managed on an annual budget cycle or even on a 4-year political cycle. It is generational in scale. It's one of the most complicated environments in California. It's got environmental, commercial, recreational, and public access issues that all come in and are engaged in a daily basis.
A cut ballot measure freed nearly $2 million in the budget. City Council member Rahl has proposed sort of putting some of those funds into bathroom maintenance, but Mayor Todd Gloria rejected the proposal. How are you working through these possible solutions?
Well, those seem like they are political issues. And I don't think that restrooms and public parks should be on the political debating spectrum. Our goal with the organization is to try to organize volunteers, supplement with raising funds, and do our best to support keeping them open as best as we can.
Wow. Well, you founded the Mission Bay Park Conservancy this year. Why did you want to start it?
Mission Bay Park is such a unique, unbelievable jewel of San Diego. I actually have a long-term leasehold on Mission Bay Park and have spent the better part of the past 10 years improving a small corner of it. And I think one of the things that I've observed over the whole is that we need to, as a whole community, embrace how wonderful this park is and actually start taking care of it the way that it should be.
What role do you see the Conservancy playing in preserving Mission Bay Park long term?
Well, I think there's a number of issues that we want to address both in the short term and the long term. But one of the things that we look at is that the Mission Bay Park Master Plan hasn't seriously been revisited in over 35 years. That being said, actually, there was an amendment to the Mission Bay Master Plan that's being proposed and heard in the Coastal Commission actually this month regarding the De Anza Cove redevelopment. It specifically, as we think about the restrooms, one of the things that I'm concerned about is if we're going to invest in these major capital projects where we're going to revitalize De Anza Cove and we can't simultaneously keep the restrooms open, I think we have a serious problem with how we are managing the park. And it might not just be a political issue. I think it actually demands and requires a broader spectrum, long-term view, a generational view.
You alluded to the Mission Bay Park Master Plan earlier. Can you walk us through the history of Mission Bay Park and its place in the community today?
Well, there's a lot of history, but it was originally, they originally called it the False Bay, and it was a wetlands. But in the 1940s, they began this process of dredging it and turning it into this aquatic sort of playground that it is today.
Okay. Well, from where you stand, what does this issue over restrooms say about, how we value open spaces and parks in our region?
I think it's problematic, but I'll tell you from our fledgling days here as an organization, nonprofit, trying to raise awareness and solve the problems, the community response has been overwhelming and incredibly positive. It actually restores a lot of confidence that I have that there is hope and a very clear path to making it better.
In a place like, San Diego, where the cost of living is skyrocketing, why is it so important to have access to free green spaces, if you will? Beach,
I think you just put the nail on the head. Recently there was some controversy regarding Balboa Park and parking fees. In this day and age where everything seems to be more expensive, having fully free places where people can go and spend time, especially in our parks. These are the places where our children need to play. This is places where they need to be open and accessible for all.
Is there a timeline for when the restrooms might be open, or are they closed indefinitely, as you understand it?
As far as we're understanding, they are closed indefinitely, and there's no talk right now of reopening them next budget year. Last year, they tried to close they wanted to get rid of all the fire pits on Balboa Park. Mission Bay Park. And thankfully there was a grant from the county that covered that up. But this is an annual process. Every single year, Mission Bay Park is on the chopping block, and I think we need to really reconsider as a community how to engage this.
In a statement to KPBS last week, the mayor said he wants to keep as many public restrooms open as possible, but that the funding identified wouldn't be a sufficient long-term solution for staffing, maintenance, and operational cost for bathroom maintenance. He also said the city will continue to evaluate its options to reopen the restrooms. That in mind, what's next on your agenda?
Well, I think with that in mind, this week actually we're meeting with Parks and Rec, and we're hoping to do what we can to figure out some sort of solution. A special use permit specifically around maintenance and care is our key focus and priority right now.
Is there anything else that you're hoping to accomplish through the Conservancy?
Absolutely. I think that, Mission Bay Park is a crown jewel of San Diego, and I think one of the things that I've learned over the past 10 years of spending almost every day there is that it is one of the best places in San Diego and maybe in the country, and we need to start treating it that way. There are similar examples of organizations such as the Central Park Conservancy in New York that during the 70s and 80s, when Central Park was really disregarded, came in and catalyze the community to turn Central Park into one of the best places on earth.
Mm-hmm. In a conversation earlier with our producer, you said that, you see Mission Bay Park as a microcosm of everything that California is facing right now. What do you mean by that?
Well, it's an incredibly complicated land area. It is a coastal commission, has coastal commission oversight. It's a land trust. And I think that actually, to me, is one of the most important aspects. The land itself was gifted to the city of San Diego to keep and maintain in trust. And some of those things that are written in the land trust documents, 1955 amendment, say very clearly that they need to keep the bathhouses open. That's what they called them then.
Mm-hmm. And who gifted the land?
It's from the state.
Okay, California did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, what else do you think people are missing in this conversation?
Well, I think, to me, it's really about looking forward to the future. And I think there are immediate problems that we have to solve. The restrooms are very clear. It's right in front of us. People are using the restrooms on the outside rather than on the inside. But we need to take a deep breath and look at what do we as a community want to see in our future? And I think our parks represent one of the key areas that are about our future. I mean, the people that use the parks most are actually children. We're building brand new playgrounds all around Mission Bay Park. And one of the interesting kind of nuances of the funding of Mission Bay Park is that of the $40 million that I talked about, the first $20 million go to the general fund. The rest of the funds actually go to capital improvement projects. So while we're having a hard time keeping the operations working, we're able to build brand new facilities. And some of the new restrooms, I understand, actually are brand new facilities that are closed. So I think, there's certainly a broader conversation that we should be having about, does Proposition C, which was passed, I think in 2008, that set this framework for the first 20 million, does that still hold? Do we need to actually revisit that original 20 million and keep it in the park, possibly?
Yeah. And before we go, what do you think the larger impact is here, right? We know you got closed restrooms. It's an impact to public health. There's economic impacts to that, too.
Undoubtedly. And I think especially in one of our places that's one of our top tourist locations. I mean, people are going to come and they're going to have this feeling. And I think it hurts the businesses around there as well. So, but we're trying our best to look on the bright side because, frankly, I think these problems are very solvable. And I think we have the community will to do it. And hopefully our elected officials see the same thing that we do.
All right. Well, we'll leave our conversation there. I've been speaking with Bradley Schnell, founder of the Mission Bay Park Conservancy. Brad, thank you so very much.
Thanks for having me.
That's our show for today. I'm your host, Jade Hindman. Thanks for tuning in to Midday Edition. Be sure to have a great day on purpose, everyone.
Here in Southern California, we know all too well the devastation wildfires can cause. That's why our mission is to stop the next one before it starts. I'm Brian D'Agostino, leader of SDG&E's Wildfire and Climate Science team, and we've built one of the most advanced wildfire prevention programs in the country, with a team of world-class meteorologists using artificial intelligence and real-time weather data, all to help keep our communities safe. We're also building a stronger grid and using public safety power shutoff when necessary because, believe me, I've seen firsthand how unpredictable wildfires can be. But here at SDG&E, we face that uncertainty head-on to help keep you safe. Learn more at sdge.com/wildfire safety.